So basically, the first row of the head is actually row 0. Just chain 6 to begin. Once you've completed your 6 chains, you're going to want to single crochet 3 into that second chain from the hook, being the first chain you go into, and then move on to single crochet 3, just 1 in each of the 3 next chains, and then single crochet 3 into the same last chain, making it so that the first and last chains of the total 6 chains are going to have 3 single crochets inside of those. Once you have completed the 3 single crochets on the last chain, you're going to start single crocheting on the backs of the chains that you just worked on, and then join back at the beginning to start the next row. Row 1 starts off with 3 increases, so that means you will single crochet 2 into the next 3 stitches you have. Think of these 2 points where you're having to increase as your increase points. These points are the ones that you started with 3 single crochets, and now in every increase row you're going to be increasing on those 2 points. Now you're just going to single crochet 3 like nothing, and just think of these as your straightaways. You're not increasing and you're not decreasing. After completing those 3, you're gonna again single crochet 2 into the next 3 single crochets. From now on, you'll hear me refer to these as increases rather than putting 2 stitches into 1 stitch. Coming to the end of that round of increases, you're gonna end off your row with 3 single crochets. It's another straightaway. No increases, no decreases. And just like that, you're done with row 1 and you're ready to move on to row 2. To start row 2, you're going to start with the pattern single crochet increase 3 times. That just means you're going to single crochet on the first stitch, single crochet 2 into the second stitch, and that's an increase. And you're going to do that 3 times. And once you're done with that, you're going to have 3 single crochets that are just your straightaway, and that does not change. You're going to have these 3 single crochets on the side of your work until you're done with your increases. Then you're going to follow the pattern again, and you're just going to go single crochet 1, increase 1, single crochet 1, increase 1, single crochet 1, increase 1. And that's 3. And after you're done with that, you're just going to single crochet a straightaway again. Alright, you've made it to row 3. In row 3, we're going to start off by single crocheting 2, increasing 1, and repeating that 3 times. At this point, you may or may not have caught on to the pattern. If you've ever made a ball before, you know that your increases just keep on going like 1 single crochet increase, and then the next row is 2 single crochet increase, the next row is 3 single crochet increase, the next row is 4 single crochet increase. That's a pattern we're doing here. However, we are breaking it up with the 2 straightaways of 3 single crochets in between. And once you finish your straightaway, you do the same increases that you had just done in the beginning. So you're going to do 2 single crochets and 1 increase 3 times. And once you're done with those, you do your other straightaway. So that means single crochet 3. we've once again completed another row. So just replace your stitch marker. Row 4, and you're not even gonna guess what you do. Single crochet 3, increase, and you repeat that 3 times. Yes, this is incredibly repetitive, and once you like see the pattern and understand what you're doing, it just makes sense. So let it make sense. If you've ever crocheted a ball or a sphere or a regular amigurumi head, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what this is. So this should be very simple. Simple dimple. You just do your increases, but with the 3 single crochet straightaways between the 2 like points where you increase. I hope that made it make sense, because I feel like I'm speaking gibberish, but like I'm trying. Once you've completed your increases, you do your straightaway. Does not change, has never changed. It's just 3 single crochets. Then once again, you do your increase. So you're going to single crochet 3 and increase a total of 3 times. And this is getting repetitive to the point where I have to speed this up. So here's me speeding this shit up. So lastly, you already know this, but you just single crochet 3 and do your last little straightaway of the row, and you begin your next row. So now we've made it to row 5, and that's actually your last row of increases for the head. You're going to single crochet 4 and then you're going to increase. Do you see the pattern? do you get what I mean when I say there's a pattern? See how simple it is. This is so simple. This is so simple dimple. You're probably doing awesome. Anyway, once you're done with that, you'll do your straightaway, which is still just 3 single crochets. Then you're going to do your other set of increases, which are single crochet 4, increase, and you repeat that 3 times. And once you've done that, you'll just single crochet 3, your last straightaway of your last row of increases. So now let's move on. Okay, so if you thought that the last few rows were repetitive, this is literally you just doing the same exact thing over and over again. So row 6 through 15 are you just single crocheting 42 stitches, which is the total amount of single crochets you should have in your row. So you're just single crocheting, no increases, no decreases, no funny business. You just go around and around and around and around and around. Got it? Pretty simple. Pretty simple if you ask me. This is where it gets weird for me, because I'm not sure if I should just cut the video and then come back later, or if I should say a little farewell and be like, okay, I'll see you like on the next row, or if I should just let it play and like let you see me finish the row. I don't know what's most helpful because it's already sped up, but I don't know. I will see you when I'm done with the 10 rows. Alright, once you're done doing the 10 rows of 42 single crochets, your project should look a little something like mine. But as we start our first decrease row, we're gonna do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease, and repeat that 3 times. When you're doing your decreases, you're gonna realize that it is basically the same kind of pattern as your increases, other than the fact that you're decreasing, of course, and it's going backwards. So from like the widest it was, being 4 single crochets between each one of those increases, now we're gonna go from there and we're gonna bring it down. So it's gonna go from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. If that made sense to you, then that's awesome, and yay me. But if it didn't make sense to you, just completely disregard that and don't let it confuse you, please. Anyhow, now you're gonna do your straightaway. Can't escape it. 3 single crochets. And after that, you're gonna decrease again. So you'll be doing your 4 single crochets, 1 decrease. 4 single crochets, 1 decrease. The way that I like to decrease is by going into the front loops of the 2 stitches you're decreasing on, instead of doing the whole regular decrease thing. I do this because it makes the decrease less noticeable. So if you'd like to try that out, I invite you to. You just put your hook through the front loop of the first stitch and the front loop of the second stitch, and you just pull your yarn through and make a single crochet. If you prefer to do a decrease any other way, it really does not matter as long as you are decreasing the amount of stitches that you have by 6 each row of decreases. Then you're going to do your last straightaway, 3 single crochets, and you're done with this row. Row number 17 is, once again, pretty much exactly the same as the last row, but you're just doing 3 single crochets, decrease 3 times. And I'm pretty sure you get the idea by now, but just to clarify, again, 3 single crochets and then a decrease. I'm going to show you how I decrease one more time before I speed this up because it's getting repetitive. So you just go into the front loops of the 2 stitches that you're decreasing on. Then you slip your yarn through and make a single crochet. You may or may not be way ahead of me at this point and are already working on your 3 single crochets for your straightaway, but that is exactly what you do after your decrease. When you're done with that, you're going to decrease again, and you're going to decrease by doing 3 single crochets, 1 decrease. And you will be repeating that a total of 3 times, but you already knew that. And then you do your next straightaway. Again, this is so repetitive, so I hope you are catching along, and this is a breeze. We've made it to row 18, and you're going to start by single crocheting 2 and then decreasing. You repeat that 3 times, and you should have already predicted that that would be what this row would be. And you should be able to predict what the next row is going to be. Then you're going to do your straightaway, 3 single crochets. Don't forget. When you're done with your straightaway, you'll do 2 single crochets and a decrease 3 times like you did at the beginning. Again, very predictable. When you're done with that, you'll do your last straightaway and you're done with row 18. At this point, you may not even need me. That's completely fine, but I'm still here if you do need me. For row 19, you're gonna do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease. Do that 3 times. Once you've done your decreases, you're gonna do your straightaway, 3 single crochets. Once you're done with the straightaway, you'll do your decreases again. So 1 single crochet, 1 decrease. Done with that, now you do your last straightaway and you're done with row 19. Who would have thought? At this point in the project, it's a good idea to put in your eyes and stuff the head. These are the eyes that I chose to use. They're just these blue little eyes. They're very cute. To know where you're putting the eyes, just make sure that the head is facing the correct way. So make sure that the line on top of the head is horizontal, and then just kind of put the eyes where they look good. It's very much to taste, so if you want your eyes to be closer together or further apart or higher up in the head or lower down in the head, that's all up to you. But this is the way that I like it. I just like the way they look like this, so that's where I typically put the eyes. The number 1 tip I have for stuffing is stuff it until you can't anymore. You're going to be using a lot more stuffing than you might think you need. But while you're stuffing it little by little, make sure you're shaping the head. If you need to press down on it or like squish it a bit to like move the stuffing around, that is perfectly okay. And as a matter of fact, that is exactly what you need to do in order to stuff it as best as you can. Now we're at row 20, and this is your second to last row. And you're going to want to start off by decreasing 3 in a row. So, yeah. And then you're gonna do your straightaway, 3 single crochets. Once you're done with those 3 single crochets, you'll do another set of decreases. So you're gonna decrease 3, and once you've decreased those 3, you do your other straightaway, and you're back at the beginning. At this point, you have 12 stitches around the entirety of the row, and you're gonna want to decrease that to 6. So you're just gonna decrease 6 times. Once you have successfully completed your last row of decreases, you're ready to cast off, and just like that. Alright, I lost my scissors, but you want to cast off by doing that and leave a long tail so that you can sew this cute little head onto the body once that's done. But now we're gonna move on to the body. Again, just cast off and leave a long tail. We're back at row 0, but this time it's the body. Row 0 of the body is making a magic ring, and once you have that magic ring, you're gonna single crochet 6 into it. Moving on to row 1. This row, you're just going to increase 6 times. So you'll end up with 12 stitches. So just increase in every single one of the stitches, and I'll meet you back. We're back, and I'm ready to start row 2. Row 2 consists of single crocheting 1, increasing 1, and you do that 6 times. So the pattern is single crochet increase, 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 single crochet increase. I think that was 6 times. It may have not been 6 times, but you get the idea. You just do it 6 times. Alright, let's act like that didn't happen. Row 3. Now, you're gonna want to single crochet 2 and then increase a total of 6 times. You may recognize this little pattern because it's exactly what we did for the head, but we're just not being interrupted by the straightaways. So you'll just continue on repeating this pattern, and I'm pretty sure you know exactly what the next row is going to be, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna tell you anyway, even if you already know what's coming. Once that's all done, we're ready for row 4. In row 4, you're gonna single crochet 3, and then you're gonna increase. You're gonna repeat that 6 times. This is so simple. If you were able to do the head, you can do the body like it's nobody's business. You can just fly through it because it's super simple. If you understand what we're doing with these increases, you just want to continue to do your increases until you get to 6 single crochets and an increase. Otherwise, just hang along with me and I will walk you through each and every row. Row 5. To nobody's surprise, you're going to be single crocheting 4 and then increasing and repeating that 6 times. There you go. You're basically just increasing each row by 6 every single row of increases. Bada bing, bada boom. And see, just like that, you're done with this row and you're ready to move on to the next row. Now that we're in row 6, we're gonna do the same exact thing, sort of. We're gonna single crochet 5 and then we're gonna increase, and you repeat that 6 times. Again, we're just increasing by 6 every single row, and the whole like spread out numbers is just so that the increases are evenly distributed throughout the row. This is me trying to make it make sense for you, but it might not be doing that. So if it's not doing that, just ignore me. Coming into row 7, also known as the last row of increases, we're gonna single crochet 6, increase 6 times. You should be getting the hang of it by now, and if you're not, that is on me. I must be doing a terrible job, but I don't know. If you're so confused at this point, let me try to break it down for you. Single crochet 6, so you're gonna single crochet 6 times. In individual stitches, you're gonna place 1 single crochet 6 times. Once you're done with that, an increase. An increase just means you're gonna single crochet 2 into the same stitch, and that inevitably increases the amount of stitches in your row. And I hope that made sense, basically. Rows 8 through 15 are a series of rows where you will be doing no increases, no decreases, just single crocheting 48 straight. So you're just single crocheting like normal, around and around and around, for a total of 8 rows of no increases, no decreases. That makes sense? Good, because I hope it did. Alright. Catch you later. Catch you back later whenever I'm done with my 8 rows of no increasing, no decreasing. We're back. Now we're starting decreases. So this is row 16, and you're gonna start by single crocheting 3 and decreasing for a total of 6 times. Now, this may seem a bit odd because we're not following the same pattern that we did in the increases. That is because we're making it so that your cat has a butt, so we want it to like decrease in only one side. So I'm cramming the decreases to one side of the body pretty much. Anyhow, once you're done doing your sets of decreases, you will just do 18 single crochets of just single crochets, no increasing, no decreasing. And that is your row 16. Now, row 17, you will have to single crochet 2 and then decrease a total of 6 times. So we're kind of following the same like descending pattern of 3, 2, 1. However, it's just not to scale with the increases because we're kind of doing a little asymmetrical thing. Anyhow, again, you will have 18 single crochets of just nothing at the end of your row, and then you're done with this row. Coming into row 18, we're going to be doing a classic little single crochet decrease a total of 6 times. Once you finish that, you'll do your 18 single crochets of just single crochets. Coming into row 19, you may or may not have guessed we're decreasing 6 times to begin. And once you've decreased those 6, you're just gonna single crochet 18. And then you're done with this row. This is more or less what your body should be looking like now. You may notice that there is a butt, and that's what you want. Now for row 20 through 27, being 8 rows, you're just gonna single crochet 24. Just around and around again. We're just doing straight rows again of just no increasing, no decreasing. Once you finish up these straight rows, you will see that the shape of your cat is now reminiscent of a P or a B or a Q, whatever way you might be looking at your cat. Alright, now it's time to stuff it. So stuff it. Again, squish it around, move the stuffing around, really get in there, and make sure that you are actually just stuffing it. Leg time. All right, so this listen up. You might actually want to hear me for this. You're first gonna want to sort of find the in-between, the middle of your CAD, in relation to its butt and how it's facing. Once you have your middle, you're just gonna single crochet until you are 1 stitch before the stitch marker. At this point, I count from my hook to 10 single crochets before it, and that is a single crochet that I want to single crochet into. So we're just kind of cutting. We're not paying attention to the rest of the body. We're just focusing on this little section, almost half of it, and you're just gonna go into that single crochet, and once you go in there and make your single crochet, you're set. And then you can just single crochet around and around and around, because rows 1 through 10 of the legs are you just single crocheting around and around and around in order to make a tube. Once you've completed your 10 rows to form the little leg tube, you're going to want to stuff it right about now before you close it up. So just stuff it. Once you're done stuffing and you got a good leg shape that you're happy with, you're ready for row 11. And in row 11, you're just decreasing 5 times. So you're turning your 10 single crochets into 5 single crochets. And that just helps close up the hole. But you are also going to just sew it shut, but it makes it look nicer. Once you're done with all that, you can cast off and just do the exact same thing for the next leg. But to help you start it off, you're gonna check and see where you started your last leg, this being my right leg, and just count 2 stitches from that stitch that you started at. Skip the stitch that you started at and just count 1, 2. And you have 2 stitches that you're not gonna touch. So you're gonna go into the 3rd one next to the 2nd one, and that's where you're gonna single crochet. From there, you're just gonna single crochet 10, and you're gonna want to single crochet back around and around and around. You get the idea. So once you've come to the end of your 10 single crochets, you should have 2 stitches before the stitch that's attached to your other leg, and you're not going to touch them. All right, So we're just gonna go back to where you started your first single crochet and single crochet into that, and that's where you start going around and around for 10 rows. And yeah, you know what to do. Now it's time to sew the hole shut in the top of your legs, and we're also going to sew the little arms together. Anyhow, I like to sew the hole shut by just kind of weaving my needle through the stitches and tightening it, but whatever way you want to like shut it is fine. You're not really even going to see it. You could even get away with not doing it. That being said, then I pulled my needle through so that I could sew the portion of just open space between the two legs. I like to do this by just inserting my yarn through both like layers of crocheted fabric or whatever you want to call it, and just going back and forth between left and right and left and right, so you're just kind of weaving through it. Once I sewed the hole completely shut, I just did a little knot and like cast it off, and of course sewed the ends in. Once you're done with that, you just repeat the same thing for the other leg, and then you can sew them together. I really just sew the tips of the two legs together. You can do this however you really want to. It doesn't really matter much as long as they're just together. As you can probably tell, I tend to stick to just kind of going back and forth and doing a little weave with my needle and yarn. Hopefully you seeing the way that I do it can kind of help you if you're having a hard time, but really just don't overthink it. You're just kind of sewing two little parts of the body together. But yeah, that's just me doing it if you need a visual. And again, once I finish doing that, I just do a little knot and then just sew my ends in. Now this is what your little arms should look like. If you want to, you could always sew them like to the body so that they stay a little bit more like uptight, but I kind of like the way that they're just in a circle. Now we're going to move on to the ears, and for row 0 of the ears, you're going to start with a magic ring and you're going to single crochet 6 into that magic ring. So this is exactly how you started the body. You're gonna do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, a total of 3 times. So we're skipping the increasing all the rows because now we just want to increase by 3 to give it more of a cone shape, if that makes sense. Row number 2 is going to be single crochet 2, increase, a total of 3 times. Rows 3 and 4, you're just doing single crochets around, so just single crochet for 2 rows. Once you're done with those 2 rows, you should be getting the shape of the ear, but now you're just gonna crochet it flat. So to do that, you're gonna like squish it so that it lays flat, and you're just gonna do slip stitches across the line of stitches. So you're gonna want to put your hook through the stitch at the front and the stitch at the back, and just slip stitch, and do that through the entire line of stitches that you have from squishing it together. Once you're all done with that, you should have an ear, and you can now just cast off and leave a long tail so you can sew it onto the head. And of course, you have to make another one, because cats typically come with 2 ears, unless you're making like your cat and your cat doesn't have an ear, but you know, I'm just giving you suggestions. Okay. Moving on to the tail, we're going to start with row 0, and row 0 you're going to start with a magic ring, and you're going to single crochet 8 into that magic ring. Once you've done that, you're ready to do row 1 through 23, which is just single crochet 8. You're going to single crochet 8 around and around and around for 24 rows. I'll be back once I have done that 24 times. Coming off of my 24th row, I'm just gonna cast off, and we'll just stuff it later. I kind of forgot to stuff it right then and there, but you can definitely stuff it then. But now we're ready to assemble. For the assembly, you might find it useful to have sewing pins. I recently started using them when doing like amigurumis, and they're super helpful because they just keep it in place, and you don't have to kind of like juggle between holding the body part down while you sew it. So to sew this in place, you kind of just do it however feels best for you, whatever like method you like to use. Here you can see me doing it how I do it, so if it helps you, just I guess watch it and try to mimic what I'm doing. I just kind of take the yarn and take the needle and like go through the ear and go through like a stitch on the head, and then take it back out in like the same spot and kind of move forward. I can't really explain it that well, like vocally, but you can sure as hell see it. So, once you have successfully attached the ears to the head in whatever way is most efficient to you, you can now just weave in the end, and then I cut it like right on there. But once I'm done with that, we will now actually stuff the tail, because we gotta work on the cat butt. Meaning we're just gonna attach the tail to the butt of the cat, which is pretty simple. Again, I can't give you too like specific instructions on how to go about sewing it down on the body, but I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, and kind of like whatever you feel is right, and whatever works for you works for you. My tip is just to pin it down. That's it. Finishing that off, you now want to kind of sew the tail down to the side of the body, because you don't want the cat to just have a straight tail, unless you do. And if you do, then skip this step. But I like how it looks all like cuddled up. So you just kind of want to place the tail where you want it and sew it down there. Like, it's like oversimplistic the way that I'm saying it, and it's because it is very simple, but I know that sometimes it can be a little like overwhelming not knowing what to do. So I just hope that the visual helps you and how you want to go about sewing it down, but at the end of the day, you're just sewing it down. Now this is what your cute little cat body should look like, and we're near the end, because now we just have to attach the head to the body. We attached the ears to the head and the tail to the body, and now we're attaching the head to the body. This one's a little bit trickier just because you can't really pin it down. I'm sure that there's some way that you can, but I just had a hard time doing it. So I just find it easier to actually hold it down in place and just kind of like feel it out. The reason why I think this is a little bit more difficult is mainly because you really just wing it. You kind of go through stitches and truly just sew it down in whatever means is possible. But this just takes a lot of going back and forth and like seeing places where the head needs to lay and where you want to sew it down to make it sit in the correct position that you want it to sit. But once you figure that all out, you're set. Now, of course, your cat looks beautiful and adorable, but you still have to remember to weave in the end and cut it. So now we can move on to the last little detail, which is the embroidery. You could either do it with pink or black. I like the way it looks black, and then I'm gonna go in with some blush to do like the inside of the pink nose. To embroider this, you are making like a V shape for the nose. You want to take the needle and thread it through 2 spots like you were gonna do like a line, but then you're gonna come out like a bit further down in between the 2, like 3 points of a triangle, and you're gonna like loop the yarn through the needle so that that 3rd point holds the line in place so that it creates a V shape. Once you've done that, you just kind of do a line down of embroidery to do like the little mouth part sort of, and you're good. Just sew the ends in and cut them off, and we're pretty much done with all that. Ta-da! Alright, you're done with like messing with it like that. Like no more yarn, no more needles, no more like hooks. You're good. We're just gonna put some makeup on it to make it pretty. I like to use blush to like color in the pink part of the nose. I think it looks cute. I also use blush on other amigurumis to give them literal blush, but in this case I'm just putting some blush on the nose. And now that I think about it, I'm probably gonna put blush on the ears too, because the inside of its ears are pink, and it just looks cute. It looks nice when you just kind of put blush on it rather than like change yarn colors. You can even put bro in a little basket right here. It's all nice. Oh, so cute. But yeah, that's your little cat loaf, bread loaf. Little cute kitty cat done. If you do make a little cute little baby kitty cat like this and use my pattern, or if you use the video and you just want to support me, please buy the pattern. Please buy the pattern, please. And do send me pictures of what you make because I want to see it. But thank you so much. Even if you didn't buy the pattern, but please. But even if you didn't buy the pattern, I just appreciate you watching the video and making something that I created. He's gonna fall. But that's it. Bye bye. Bye bye. Stop it! What the fuck? Where do you feel?